Today I am walking along Greenwood Bay Drive here in Tiburon, California, and this is really going to be my last video of the year here in California, and I really am going to miss it here. It was a fantastic summer. The weather couldn't have been better, but at the same time I am looking forward to going back to Florida, and by the time you guys watch this video, I'll already be in Miami working on the next one for you. And I want to talk about the retirement crisis that's going on in America, because retirement is quickly becoming a thing of the past. You know, I believe that within the next 20 or 30 years, retirement will be sort of a word that is lost to history. It'll be something that people just used to talk about and used to do, but not something that people can realistically achieve anymore, at least if things continue in this direction with the cost of living, especially with the wages not keeping up with the cost of living. How is anybody supposed to be able to save up enough retirement money to actually retire if they can barely afford to live and pay their bills? Right now in America, about half of Americans are not saving enough for retirement. 45% of Americans say that they feel financially unprepared for retirement. And basically everybody kind of needs to save more. You can run the risk of saving too much if you're a high income earner, extremely responsible with your finances, but that's a very select group of people that have that problem. I mean, that honestly, if you save too much for retirement, it's kind of a luxury in 2025. I mean, already in 2025, the idea of retiring at 65 or 70 years old is completely unattainable for 2/3 of Americans, guys. Think about that. 2/3 of people cannot retire at retirement age. Many people in this category expect to continue working as long as their bodies able them to, and life expectancy is rising, but savings and pensions and 401ks are not. So realistically, where does this go? Well, it goes where these people are saying. People are being very realistic about it. People realize that they're probably not going to be able to retire if things remain the way they are. And so my theory is, if it's already like that now, imagine how it's going to be in 20 or 30 years from now, because clearly the Fed and our government has no real interest in fixing the economy and making it work for the everyday person. They're only interested in keeping it going and working for the most wealthy who have their hands in all the assets. And the retirement savings shortfall spans across all different generations, income levels, and when we look at younger folks like millennials and Gen Z, they say they just want to know they'll have something later in life. Well, I don't know what that something even would be, because it's probably not going to be Social Security. And if you can't save enough to actually retire, then what will it be? I don't know. Pensions are totally ancient history. I'm sure a lot of younger people, if you're under the age of 30, probably don't even know what a pension is, because that's something that doesn't really exist anymore. There might be a few companies out there that still offer one, but they are extremely few and far between. Social Security, that was never intended to be your full retirement income. But fast forward to today, it is for so many people. In fact, a lot of people who watch this channel have written me over the years to tell me how they're able to survive on Social Security alone. And it's kind of amazing, guys, because considering the typical Social Security check is only about $2,000 a month, the fact that people can survive on that even today in 2025 is very impressive. But it also means you have to live extremely frugal, and there's really no room for error with your finances if you're doing this. Really, the only way retirement is going to be common in the future is if we go back to having some sort of guaranteed plan that you can retire on, like old school pensions, for example. That would need to be brought back, but you know that's not going to happen. I mean, companies these days, fire people by the tens of thousands just to increase their share prices a few bucks. So these companies are not going to be parting with their cold hard cash to make sure that you have a comfy and cozy retirement. But if you have a job right now, you're one of the lucky ones, first of all. And if your job offers a 401k matching program, you're even luckier. And all the experts agree that you should be maxing that out. If they give you $1 for every dollar that you contribute, up to $10,000 a year, well, that means you should be finding some way possible where you can contribute that full $10,000 a year, and then your employer will also contribute 10 grand a year, and that's a free $10,000 you're getting for retirement, plus the compounding interest over however many years that you didn't have to earn and save for yourself. So taking advantage of those employer contributions can really make a difference of whether or not you'll be able to retire in the future. Even if you can only afford to save $100 a month for retirement, guys, that is better than nothing, especially if you have an employer matched program. Because if you have something like that, that means you're saving $200 a month for retirement after their contribution. And every little bit adds up over the years to helping you have more. I mean, you guys have probably heard several stories in the past about, the janitor that makes minimum wage and retires a millionaire 30 or 40 years down the road because it's been small, consistent investments over the years, always contributing to retirement over the span of decades that leads them to being a millionaire, even though they weren't contributing much to begin with. That is more than possible and achievable. The problem is just a lot of people don't do it. They want to have things now. They spend money on whatever they want right now and don't worry about the future. We've all been there. I'm guilty of it too.